I'd live to be seeing these times. As you know, recently information was brought to us that's critical in terms of health. So I want to deal with that first, and then we can go back and talk about the other contents of this aerosol spray and the impact to the body, and perhaps some mitigating medicines. We have found out through a very credentialed research doctor that perhaps what we're seeing occasionally show up in our air supply is a fungus. The reason this is so critical is apparently this fungus dramatically compromises the immune system by consuming those nutrients the immune system uses to repair and rebuild. And like every system in our body, the immune system has to keep rebuilding itself. It will wear out, it will wear down, and it has to keep regenerating. If it doesn't have those nutritional tools to do that, your immune system becomes dramatically compromised, unable to deal with any kind of invader. That's why I think we're seeing so many more colds and flus than we've seen in the last 5.5, 6 years, than we've seen in a long time. I know in my clients, these things are like epidemic. Sinus infections, colds and flus. That's on the lighter side. On the heavier side, we're seeing a lot more cancers and some very devastating disease, implying an extremely compromised immune system. Part of that has to be this fungal kind of invasion because, as I said, this fungus eats the nutrients that the immune system uses to rebuild itself. I don't know if you know, one of the top respiratory specialists in the United States was recently on the Today Show. He's written a book called something about the breathing crisis in this country. And he told, I think it was Katie Kirk, I don't recall, who was interviewing him, maybe Ann Curry, that death or mortality from respiratory disease had gone from number 8 5 years ago to almost number 3. That's huge. That means that the third leading cause of death now in this country is breathing. And one has to wonder what could have happened in 5 years to have created that kind of crisis, is the only word I can think of. So this is something that anybody who breathes, and I'm assuming that's anybody who might be seeing this documentary, needs to be concerned not only for themselves but everyone they love. This isn't like a firing squad where everybody goes down and you get to watch it at one time. This is a cumulative poisoning that will demonstrate in different people in different manners depending on how strong their immune system was to begin with, what their genetics are, and many other factors. So this is something that will demonstrate in a lot of different ways. You're not going to have, as I said, the firing squad effect. But what you will have is, over time, more and more debilitated people, more and more people who don't feel well, more and more younger people, which I'm seeing quite a bit of now, in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, with problems that we never saw in that age range, or rarely, I should say, saw. And I know in Albuquerque alone, 5, 6 years ago, 6 to 8% of the children were diagnosed as asthmatic. Today, as of now, it's 70%. It's devastating. These are children.
After confronting the reality of aerosol operations, it is a natural question to ask, why? Who would want to alter the very air that we breathe? The evidence is now clear that the aerosol operations are a covert activity. An operation that will never ask for your consent and that is being conducted on you and your family regardless of your concerns. The reasons why do not appear to be restricted to a single purpose. From all data gathered at this point, there could be said to be 6 main reasons why aerosol operations are being conducted. 1. Modification and control of weather and the environment. 2. Electromagnetic operations. 3. Military operations. 4. Biological operations. 5. Planetary and geophysical change. 6. Sophisticated surveillance systems. there is an overlap that can make it difficult to discern where one program may start and another end. It's likely that many or all of these operations are being conducted at the same time. Regarding modification and control of the environment, the evidence now shows that because of the aerosol operations, the very physical nature of the atmosphere has been changed. There are several components in the aerosols which are repeatedly found. One of these is a salt that seeks and holds on to moisture and can, therefore, reduce the frequency and amount of moisture that reaches the ground. Another observation that has been confirmed over and over is that the aerosol operations frequently, if not usually, are conducted in advance of approaching moisture and storms, thereby altering weather. It may be no coincidence that drought is now commonplace and widespread, and that moisture on the planet is becoming an increasingly precious and sought-after resource. It has been claimed that perhaps these aerosol operations are intended to lessen the negative effects of global warming. Unfortunately, the facts do not support these theories, and in fact, the majority of the data strongly demonstrates that these activities are having detrimental and potentially disastrous consequences to the life and ecology of this planet. Furthermore, it is easy to demonstrate that the vast majority of substances found within the aerosols will actually increase the heat levels of the lower atmosphere, rather than decrease it when they are placed into it. The United States Air Force has publicly disclosed their intention of owning the weather by 2025, and based on the information gathered and scientific tests done, it would not be unreasonable to think that that objective has, in part, already been accomplished. The full environmental impact of these aerosol operations to the soil, the seas and lakes, the flora and fauna, and the agriculture that sustains us is staggering. Electromagnetic operations designed to affect human health, control communication and guidance systems, including airplanes and missiles, radar interference, missile destruction, enhancing the ability of transporting micro-sized particles and molecular change of the atmosphere. Barium is a highly toxic heavy metal which has been found to be one of the key components contained within these aerosols. Barium, like other metals, has the property of increasing the conductivity of electricity in the atmosphere. The more of it there is, the more precisely electrical pulses can be sent through the atmosphere. The implications of being able to modify the atmosphere electrically and magnetically are enormous. A small change in the electrical properties of the atmosphere completely alters the way in which that shell around the Earth can be used. Changes in heat and energy are at the foundation of the life of this planet and all those who dwell upon it.